The governor was on a bill signing blitz this week. On one day, signing those 5 education-related bills at once, the result of a strategic effort to make or remake state education more conservatively. One of those new laws puts mandates and restrictions on teachers' unions. We've been talking about that. The very next day, several groups filed suit, and one of them is the Florida Education Association. Andrew Spar is the president, right here with us live to talk about it. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, good morning, and happy Mother's Day to you and all the mothers out there.
Thank you so much on all our behalfs. So let's talk about that lawsuit. On what grounds have you challenged this new law?
So this law is on a constitutional grounds, on our right to free speech, our right to free assembly, and our right to equal protection under the United States Constitution.
But the bill itself, the things that it does actually, if I'm reading them correctly, gives teachers the total choice of how to pay union dues, whether or not to be part of the union. Well, what is unconstitutional about that?
That's actually incorrect. Right now in the state of Florida, and I want to start by saying this, as teachers union, myself as a union president, I am a teacher. I am an elementary music teacher. President Anna Fusco in Broward County is an elementary teacher.
Yes,
we are teachers who come together to have a voice in our union. And right now we can choose whether or not to join our union and how we want to pay our union dues. What this does is it says you don't have that choice anymore. You can no longer do the safest, easiest way to pay your union dues should you choose to join the union, which is through paycheck deduction. However, that right is still afforded to police, firefighter, corrections office, and probation officers in the state of Florida, which gets into that disparate treatment against educators in the state of Florida who are predominantly female.
So forgive me if this sounds nitpicky, and I don't mean it like that at all. I'm just trying to, as a layperson, understand. So what? Couldn't you do a bank withdrawal? I mean, if it's how you're paying your union dues, isn't there a workaround for that? Isn't there a bigger picture here?
Sure, there is a different way to collect dues. We're working on that now. But again, the easiest, safest way to do it is through paycheck deduction. It is how we pay for football tickets, how we pay for voluntary benefits that we may have through our district, how we make contributions to the United Way, the United Negro College Fund, and other organizations as well. So why just single out the voice of how teachers and staff in our schools come together to advocate for kids in our profession?
Can you define, there have been, in our tenure reporting here, there have always been sort of a push and pull between unions and districts. Unions are arguing and negotiating on behalf of teachers. But what is, in your opinion, the role now of a union, of a teachers union in a district?
So first of all, I would argue that we actually get along really well with districts throughout this state. Sure, when we sit down to bargain, we're on other sides of the table. It's more adversarial. But as a whole, we advocate for our profession. We advocate for our students. We advocate for public schools, something we all do together. And I think in society today, we're kind of looking for where is the division? Where is the division? That's what upsets us, I think, most about this. Teachers know they have to be able and comfortable being able to speak up for students. When they see students not getting the services they need, they want to know they have a way and that someone has their back in speaking up for those students. When they see that their profession is under attack and they want to push back, as we've been doing in the state of Florida, then we should be able to do so in a collective and powerful way without the threat of retaliation that we're now being subjected to, just like Disney World.
Understood. So let me ask you about this law, which is actually called one of the laws signed, Teachers' Bill of Rights, that gives teachers all kinds of leeway that they perhaps didn't have before in working in the classroom, in disciplining students, in not taking away a fear of retribution, doing what they think is right, and under this administration, really padding some paychecks in various ways, be it bonuses or raises of starting teachers' salaries. So all that said, is that something that you get behind?
There are elements of the Teacher Protection Act that we do support. Some of them have already been in place for a while, which is the right of teachers to write referrals on students, have students removed from the classroom when they're disrupting the learning process. We need to continue to strengthen that area, and we need to continue to have this sacred bond that exists between teachers and parents. So together we can make sure that every child is getting the education they deserve and need. But let me take a moment and talk about pay in the state of Florida. It is a flat out falsehood to say that teachers' paychecks are being padded in some way. They're not. Here's the fact of the matter. Florida ranks 48th in the nation in average teacher pay, down one spot since this governor took office. Bonuses don't get us there. We have to really invest in the pay of teachers, and we have to recognize that over the last 12 years in the state of Florida, 20 plus laws have been implemented that we now call the teacher experience penalty.
Okay, so can I just play devil's advocate for one moment?
Sure.
With all of those things that you just said, where have unions been? And is there an argument that the unions haven't been effective in fighting that?
We've been out there fighting big time to try to change the law in the state of Florida. We thought we had it done this year till the governor said, no way, we're not going to fix the compression issue and the fact that our veteran teachers, our experienced teachers are being left behind. But we're going to continue to advocate. It is how we do it. Look, a little over 50% of teachers in the state of Florida choose to belong to the union. I wish more would, because that's how we build our voice. And in states where teachers are paid significantly better, where students perform significantly better, those states have much higher union density percentages.
Andrew Spar with the Florida Education Association, we really value your time. I hope you will be able to come back and talk more, because there are so many components to education right now that is such a focus of Florida. And I appreciate that you came on and talked about just this little one.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here, and I'll come back for sure.
Excellent. Thanks so much.